Those of us who work with women who are in abusive relationships, who have recently left those relationships, hear something different. We think there's a shadow pandemic happening here, and that is gender-based violence, and the increase in the rates of that violence, the fewer opportunities that women have to escape from those relationships.
It's been called the second shadow pandemic, an increase in domestic violence as a result of COVID-19 lockdowns. Now, Stats Canada data confirms that 17 police agencies are seeing an increase in domestic disturbance calls.
We all know that calls to the police are really only the tip of the iceberg of the actual numbers of incidents of domestic violence, because many women choose not to go that route. Shelters in Durham region, as across the country, have seen a significant increase in demand for their services, both residential and crisis line supports.
The Stats Canada data covers March to June of this year and shows that some crimes went down. Across 17 reporting police agencies, there were fewer shoplifting calls, fewer break-and-enters, and fewer car thefts, but domestic disturbance calls went up 12%. While these calls don't always mean gender-based violence and don't track the victim's gender, overwhelmingly, calls of this nature involve violence against women.
Men do experience domestic violence as well, but that overwhelmingly women experience the most severe forms of violence and are more likely to experience sort of coercive control. So that's control of the finances, and they're more at risk of domestic homicide. We see that just from the stat that every 5 to 6 days in Canada, a woman has been killed by a current or former partner, and that has happened throughout the pandemic, even at some increasing levels.
The pandemic has made it more challenging for women seeking help. With lockdowns in effect for the early part of the pandemic, women had fewer opportunities to leave the home or speak to friends or family. To that end, the Canadian Women's Foundation has established a signal for help that can be sent subtly through video calls, an open hand closing into a fist pointed towards the camera.
They might very well be able to do this on a call very quickly, very kind of in a very small way, and you can see somebody on the other side. And that's a sign, I need you to check in with me. I need you to just check in with me safely.
And there's one more troubling aspect to this startling surge in domestic violence. Some agencies have reported a startling drop in calls for help, suggesting that some women may not even feel safe enough to send out that call for help. Prior to the pandemic, experts estimated that only 3 in 10 women experiencing domestic violence would ever report it, a number that may have dropped even lower now. In Ottawa, Xiaoli Li, City News.